If you're about academic freedom and viewpoint diversity, that's not something to be doing. And that's where I have an immediate problem with something like this. But I've been seeing more and more of this where there's requirements for, frankly, what are to me ideological litmus tests. Alrighty. This may have been from last week, but things like this continue to pop up on my radar. So this comes from Inside Higher Ed, where DEI work is faculty work. University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign will soon require diversity contribution statements from all faculty members for tenure and promotion. So, in short, put it to you this way, requiring an ideological statement, because what are DEI statements in general? Requiring an ideological statement and ideological based actions to get yourself promoted and advance your career. Because the thing is, tenure is an important thing for a lot of professors. For a lot of folks who go down the route of trying to be a tenure track professor, it is a really, really important thing. But it should be about the merits of your work, not about what ideological positions you hold. So let us take a look. University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign will soon require all faculty members to submit a diversity statement to be considered for tenure or promotion. UIUC's provost announced the change this week, saying that in order to meet the goals of its current strategic plan, the university must, quote, catalyze innovation and discovery, find novel and proactive ways to educate students from all walks of life, and develop ever deeper connections with the public we serve. All of that requires that UIUC, quote, recognize and support a wider range of contributions to the excellence of our institution. Okay. Numerous institutions or specific departments now require faculty job applicants to submit a diversity statement. Others encourage professors to include their diversity, equity, inclusion work in their tenure and promotion portfolios. Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis even approved a new DEI-related track to tenure and promotion last year. In other words, you're not getting promoted for your work that way. Disgusting. But few institutions of UIUC's size and research profile have considered requiring diversity statements and effectively DEI work from all professors who hope to be tenured or promoted. Yeah, DEI at this point, at this moment in time, refers to a very specific postmodernist philosophical approach to it. And in reality, there's actually a lot of different thinkers and a lot of different ways to approach such issues of having a diverse background or having viewpoint diversity. And I mean, there's a few different places I prefer for viewpoint diversity things than this nonsense that is not about diversity of viewpoint in the slightest. It's about having ideological conformity in there, is what I see with most of what DEI is in its most militant form, the postmodernist form that seems to be just about every freaking place right now. Yeah, and this is unhelpful, this particular one. And why are you getting promoted for something that isn't related to your career? And I can see what the argument probably is. I can see that it's probably having to do with, you're supposed to be contributing to the advancement of the science, the advancement of the students, and what have you, to improving things at the university. That's how you end up with tenure. But, I don't know that this kind of nonsense that they're talking about here is necessarily improving things, because it's not improving viewpoint diversity, if that's the case. I could see an argument. I could kind of sort of see it if you were looking at it from a viewpoint diversity perspective, where you're trying to foster and promote that, and you're taking actions to promote that. That might be an interesting thing. I still don't think it should be a requirement for tenure. But good grief. Let's see. William Bernhardt, Executive Vice Provost for Academic Affairs, said UIUC began work to update its tenure and promotion policy more than 2 years ago to better align it with the strategic plan. The policy update also carves out a clear place for DEI contributions in the tenure and promotion process, he said, as individual faculty members or departments have had long been squeezing this work into the service criterion of their faculty reviews. Hold on a sec. There we go. I forgot to silence my phone. Apologize. service criterion. There is a service criterion for tenure in a lot of places, and that's, service to the university, service to the college, service to the community. Those kinds of things can all count. Yeah, I don't know about DEI being good in the service requirement either, but that's a whole other conversation. The Provost's office describes the new DEI requirement as a one-page maximum personal statement detailing, quote, specific individual and or collective or collaborative activities aimed at supporting diversity, equity, and inclusion, as well as access. Candidates should, quote, include a discussion of the context, importance, and impact of their contributions along with their future plans for contributions. The candidate may choose to organize the statement by topic, activity, domain, research, teaching, service, or in another manner. The policy says the department's evaluations of teaching, service, and research and future potential, quote, must, where appropriate, consider the candidate's diversity, equity, and inclusion activities in their impact. UIUC will accept diversity statements from promotion and tenure candidates on a voluntary basis through the 2024-25 academic year. After that, they'll be mandatory. This is an ideological test to get promotion. You got to give me something that is not, because this very much smacks that you want a particular way to approach doing DEI, that you have a particular worldview in mind to me, which amounts to an ideological litmus test, which is unfortunate because, let me also point out one thing interesting in terms of the research in sociology, what have you. Such DEI statements have very, 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 very little research involved that actually shows that they give you more compassionate candidates or more service-oriented people or do much to advance anything. There's little to nothing showing that with respect to DEI statements. So, no, it's not worth it to do an ideological litmus test, particularly when you don't have any reckoning of whether you probably won't even work, to be honest. Such a waste of time. Bernard said this adjustment period is designed to give all faculty members time to think about how DEI fits into their work. I've had this argument, and I've said it before. I will say it again. DEI is not foundational to anything I do. It has not been. It will never be. The pursuit of the truth is foundational to what I do. Full stop. As a scientist, that's what it is. And within that, what matters is viewpoint diversity, specifically. And if I can't have a whole bunch of people who are very diverse in their thoughts on diversity, then then that's not viewpoint diversity being fostered at all. You're requiring people to have only one way of thinking about it, quite possibly. Not enough to know for sure with this necessarily, but that would be where my money is. Many different ways to make contributions, and you can make contributions in research, or teaching, or service, and the centrality of those contributions is going to vary enormously. He said, for some candidates whose research centers on these topics, it's going to be very important and very central to their case. For others, maybe it's not going to be central, but there are still things that they can do. Maybe it's changing when the lab group meets to be at a more family-friendly time. That's a contribution. The professor should be already thinking about that anyway. Good grief. We really want to underscore, we're not expecting anyone to change their research focus to say that they've done a DEI activity. That doesn't make any sense because you literally said it. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. Specific individual and or collaborative activities aimed at supporting diversity, equity, inclusion, as well as access. That's a DEI activity. Okay. Research is research, and you're guided by your disciplinary challenges and your interests and funding available to all those things. Let's see. Guts serve education. Okay. Okay. Work closely with the Provost's office to shape the new guidelines, including by suggesting examples of what DEI contributions might look like in different fields. across research, teaching, and service, and at the individual program or institutional level. Some examples written into the policy are as follows. You always have the tame examples for the most part. Okay. Oh, gosh. Noting that academics don't always agree on what DEI means or entails, Verbulis said he and his colleagues tried really hard to imagine examples where somebody would say, I don't really deal with DEI issues, because they think about that definition in a very narrow way. Similar to Bernhard, Verbulis, pardon if I'm butchering the pronunciation of your name, it's not intentional, said this is, quote, going to look different for different people. It'll be less central for some people than for others. But the intention here, the headline is, everybody is expected to contribute to this campus to this campus value in some way. You're dictating it as a value. And you're probably dictating your specific version as a value too, for that matter. Along with the DEI statement, UC has also updated its tenure and promotion policy to include new guidelines for evaluating interdisciplinary and team research and public engagement. The policy now includes expanded definition of excellence in teaching, as well as describing it as well-designed and delivered, inclusive and ethical, reflective, and evolving. Rachel Gordon, an associate professor of sociology and criminology at the University of Denver, who's argued for making DEI contributions more visible in tenure, promotion, and reappointment decisions, said that while there are different models for crediting DEI work, UC's across-the-board policy, quote, sends a real strong signal to other universities that DEI work should be part of the core competency of what a faculty member should be doing, that it's not just work that should be done by minoritized faculty groups, but really is everyone's responsibility. It's central. No, it's not. It's not foundational to anything I do. It's not central to anything I do, and I would reject that straight away. And that's the problem we have with this, is who are you to dictate the values of what's important to the professor? If you're about academic freedom and viewpoint diversity, that's not something to be doing. And that's where I have an immediate problem with something like this. But I've been seeing more and more of this, where there's requirements for, frankly, what are to me ideological litmus tests. As I've said before and I've said again. And for that matter, no research to show that DEI statements actually have any benefit for anything related to the goals involved. No benefits. No benefits at all. No research to support it. Nothing. So why are you doing this when it has nothing to support that it works anyway? Why? You're just making people write up something and probably increasing incentives to flatter and lie is what's going to happen. That would be my guess, is for people who don't want to be doing this nonsense, but just want to keep their job and keep there's going to be an incentive there to flatter and to lie. Shouldn't do it, but that's probably going to be the incentive that's there. Alrighty, that's it for this video. Let me know what you think. Hit the like button on the way out the door if you like the video. Subscribe to the channel. Comment on the video. Share the video. All that lovely good jazz. And don't forget to come on over and join us on shiosofia.locals.com. And until next time, I hope you all stay curious.